When you start to look at designing your bedroom as a man, a lot of thoughts are going to flood into your mind. How do I make this look good? What style should I choose? Does the style I want even have a name? And what will others think? This doesn't mean strangers, but of course we're going to consider how those closer to us perceive the inside of our home. It's human nature. Friends, co-workers, significant others, it feels good when they enjoy and appreciate our space as much as we do. I say that to say this. Attempting to navigate through these questions can be difficult if this isn't something that you do all of the time, which most people do not. The common mistake made, especially by men, when we find ourselves upon indecision, is that we just want to get started. I'll figure it out as I go. If I push forward, it will work itself out. That can be true in a lot of aspects of life. In home design, not so much. I'll figure it out as I go in home design is like trying to cross the Atlantic Ocean with a pool noodle. The outlook is not promising, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you can get a grasp on some fundamentals and incorporate a few tips and tricks, you can come out with something that is at least respectable. So today I'm going to show you the steps that we went through in transforming a bedroom that looked like it belonged in a motel to one that unmistakably belongs to the home of a well-rounded gentleman. I'll try to share it in a type of here's what we did, here's why fashion, so that you can replicate the lessons learned in your own home. If you're a returning subscriber, hit the thumbs up. If you're new here, my name is Chaudhry, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be a subscriber. Remember that if you would like my help in designing your room, you can have that help by clicking the link in the description below. This project all started when Michael, who's a subscriber of the channel here, reached out to me saying that he had just moved into a 1,600 square foot condo on a golf course. Fantastic. His plan is to redesign the entire home, but he wanted to start with the owner's bedroom. So we did. I asked him about the style he wanted, and it was a very clear response. He wanted modern industrial. Now, if you're looking at the original bedroom photos on the screen right now, you've probably already asked yourself or said to yourself, this isn't industrial. How do I make this industrial? That is exactly the crossroad that Michael found himself at. The industrial decor style is typically found within an industrial structure. This type of design theme was born out of the ideas that people were coming up with in decorating their homes that were located inside buildings formerly used as factories and warehouses and production facilities. When your floors are epoxied concrete, your walls are exposed brick, and your ceiling is open framed steel, you have to go about decorating a little differently than normal. So as designers became better and better at this style, it became more and more intriguing for people to want to try this style because it was so attractive in the right setting. But what continues to stop people from pursuing it is when they look around their own homes and don't see the same structural attributes. How can I possibly take a room that only has basic drywall and plain flooring and turn it into something that is even remotely industrial? And the motivation stops there. As for Michael, he had a few requests and parameters for us to work within. The cream-colored carpet you see there in the photo had to stay. Switching the flooring wasn't an option. He didn't want to get into painting, so that meant that the beige walls were also staying. He preferred not to go in the direction of themes that were too dark, as he is on a golf course, and he didn't want his environment within the home to clash with the environment outside of the home. Plus, the room doesn't get a lot of light, so he didn't want it to get too dark. Any color themes that would be predominantly white, black, and gray weren't of much interest to him, but he did gravitate towards dark blues, browns, leathers, and brass. There was more beyond this, but for the sake of keeping this video somewhat concise, we'll leave it at that with the understanding that we certainly had some hurdles to get past. Let's take a look at what we came up with. Big difference. Michael himself is well into his professional career. He's experienced in his industry and he's highly educated. We wanted to make sure that the room represented him as a mature, put-together individual. When you look at this room, you would expect the owner of it to be nothing less than that, and that was the goal. I mentioned earlier that I would share this in a type of this is what we did, here is why style. So the first thing I want to point out are the colors that we used. The combination of navies, browns, and beiges can be extremely appealing, but you must have a clear vision of your end goal when using them. The reason why is because it's a double-edged sword when you work with this combination of colors. You walk a fine line of creating something that looks like a preteen, adolescent child's room who loves boats and pirates. The way you have to avert this, or at least the way that we avert it, is through the use of furniture and decor that you choose. I don't see a lot of people talk about this, and it's probably because it's something that is overlooked or taken for granted. In my opinion, one of the major characteristics of a furniture piece is its displayed maturity level. This isn't to be confused with how old the piece is. It could have been manufactured yesterday. It's the shape, it's the pattern, and the stitching in which it was created. If it's designed with the aspiration of being a classic traditional furniture piece as opposed to being contemporary or super forward or futuristic, it will completely change the experience felt by the viewer of the room. To put it simply, it's not likely that an adolescent would approach any of the items that we have displayed in this room in a store and say that they wanted that in their room. It's not until you reach a certain maturity level that you begin to appreciate this style of craft work. I'm starting something new that I think you might enjoy. Each month, I'm going to give away a free room design. I'm going to select this winner from the group of people who follow the newsletter. So how do you follow the newsletter? There's going to be a link down in the description of this video that will allow you to subscribe to it. After that, you're automatically entered every month for a chance to win a free room design. The newsletter will inform you of two things each month: when a new video is released and who the winner of the free room design that month is. You've very likely noticed that 3 materials dominate this room: wood, leather, and iron. They're repeated in different forms in nearly every piece. Why is that? These are materials that you would commonly find in a modern industrial design. It's as simple as that. But is there any rhyme or reason as to why we are using them the way that we are? There is. It's true that we don't have the industrial backdrop to work with, but what we do have is the ability to showcase these materials relative to how they would appear in an industrial setting. Where would we likely find iron or steel in an old building? The framework, and most noticeably, on the ceiling. So why don't we look for a way to make a connection between iron and the ceiling? Light fixtures. What about wood? Wood acts as a secondary support through things like vertical columns and trusses. So why don't we make the taller items in the room wood and try to replicate the look of ceiling support? Finally, the leather. Leather does a wonderful job of complementing and softening hard materials without foregoing that more masculine identity of the style. So if you plan to replicate industrial, I would suggest that you find a way to use some leather. Let's move on to the flooring. What should you do if the flooring you have is not suitable for the style that you want? The most obvious answer is to replace it. But if that's not an option, the next best thing is to cover it. And what is the easiest way of doing that? Area rugs. The superpower of an area rug is to cover the flooring that we no longer want to see. It is truly one of the most transformative tools you can use in making a room look however you want it to look. Flooring has such a large influence on the overall appearance of the room. It is vitally important that you get it in harmony with the rest of the theme that you're going for. You've now gotten an inside look as to the why behind the what. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. If you feel like sticking around a while, feel free to subscribe. See you on the next one.